We are everywhere. We are your mothers, your fathers, your sisters, and your brothers. We are your co-workers. We are your classmates. We are your friends. We are gay American citizens. There was a time when I would not be able to say such a thing in public without fear of being the object of vicious acts of violence. Homosexuals have been blatantly discriminated against in the past and are more subtly discriminated against presently. Homosexuals in Germany under Hitler were submitted to insidious tortures and death similar to that of the Jews. They were forced to wear pink triangles, labeling them as immoral degenerates of Hitler's new society. And in America today, we are discriminated against in housing, employment, federally assisted opportunities, and many other areas of society. It is with this in mind that I ask you today to have an open mind on the subject of gay and lesbian rights, to consider supporting legislation aimed at gaining our civil rights, and to decide for yourselves whether the discriminatory laws and practices are in accordance with our First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendment rights. Some examples of state and federal laws and discriminatory practices are one in Virginia. The law in Virginia prohibits sodomy, both for gay and straight people, whether in private, by consent, or not. Virginia ABC laws forbid businesses with liquor licenses to serve or employ homosexuals. The Surgeon General of the United States announced last August that the Public Health Service would no longer examine suspected homosexuals referred to it by the Immigration and Naturalization Service. Yet the Justice Department continues to enforce an anti-homosexual provision in the 27-year-old Immigration and Nationality Act, leaving the process of determination completely in the hands of immigration officials. Senator Kennedy, head of the Select Commission on Immigration and Refugee Policy, has been outspoken against what he calls discrimination resulting from, and I quote, a statute based on outmoded medical and psychiatric views of homosexuality. And in Tucson, Arizona this past Christmas, the Toys for Tots program run by the United States Marine Corps refused to accept a donation worth almost $2,500 simply because it came from area homosexuals. The Marine Corps' response was, some of our regulations won't let us associate with any group that might negatively reflect on the Marine Corps. We would prefer that they donate anonymously. Now, who loses in a situation like this? The children. Current legislation now pending in the House and Senate reflect the controversial nature of this subject, and two favorable bills now presently in Congress are H.R. 2074, which is the lesbian gay civil rights bill in the House. If passed, it will add affectional or sexual orientation to existing civil rights laws. It would then be illegal to discriminate in employment, housing, public services, and federally assisted opportunities. S-2081 is the Fair Employment Bill in the Senate. If passed, it would then be illegal to discriminate in employment. Neither bill would require affirmative action in the form of quotas. On the flip side of the coin are two unfavorable bills. House Concurrent Resolution 166 would, if passed, resolve that in part. It is the sense of the Congress of the United States that homosexual acts and the class of individuals who advocate such conduct shall never receive special consideration or protected status under law. S-1808, the Family Protection Act, is based partly on the idea that basic justice for homosexuals somehow threaten the American family. The bill takes on many gay and lesbian issues. Three sections of this bill are Concept 36, which prohibits legal services funds for homosexual rights litigation. Concept 37 forbids allocation of federal funds from being awarded to any organization, group, or entity which advocates homosexuality. Concept 38, this provision would write into law a statement that discrimination against declared homosexuals would never be considered an unlawful employment practice. Whatever happened to equal justice under law? Since this is an issue which deals with the right to privacy of the individual, I will quote from the United States Constitution. Article 1 says in part, Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. Article 4 says in part, the right of the people to be secure in their persons houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. Article 5 says in part, no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. What I have stressed today is that American homosexuals are discriminated against in many areas of our society. That the issue of homosexuality is basically a right to privacy issue, and that there is hope for equal rights through favorable legislation in Congress. In the interest of justice and fair play, I ask you today to support gay rights legislation. We are not asking for special consideration. What we are asking for is that the basic rights granted to all Americans be extended to lesbians and gay men. The right of the individual to conduct his or her life in whatever manner he or she sees fit, as long as it does not interfere or harm others, should not be denied in this country. Human dignity, respect, and justice should be fundamental rights for all free people. America has always been a tolerant, if not compassionate and understanding nation. Mere acceptance is a first step, but so much more could be done, and in less time, if closeted homosexuals would come out, and if heterosexuals would become advocates of civil and equal rights for lesbians and gay men. Remember, someone in your life is gay, and the possibility exists that someday one of your children may come to you and say, I'm gay. How would you handle it? With compassionate understanding or ignorant insensitivity?
Any questions for him?
Yes.
Several times you commented about gay and lesbian rights.
Right.
What's the difference in a lesbian gay?
A lesbian is gay, that's just what they've attached to the word homosexual. And I have tried to find out what that definition means from authorities, and all I get is that men are gay and women are lesbians. And I've always thought a lesbian was a lesbian and a homosexual is a homosexual, and they're both gay. But, you know, they use gay men all the time, so I'll go along with the crowd on this one. Any other? There. Yeah, like the Jews, they had to wear stars of David's, yellow stars of David's. Well, in Germany, homosexuals had to wear pink triangles. Gilly? No. Is that all?
Whereas the Jew was the one that was prosecuted the most.
Right.
Was the homosexual the next in line?
The Jew was definitely prosecuted. The homosexual issue of prosecution has been smothered over by history because there were so many Jews that were annihilated, and some of those Jews were homosexuals without being labeled such. I would say it was one of the top 5 that was prosecuted, because Hitler's new society was to be the Aryan, perfect man society, and there was no room for homosexuals in that type of society.
Do you think that affects their thinking so that they would maybe curb a child thinking in one way, or would give them a more well-rounded?
Personally, what I think is that it would give them a more rounded idea of what life's all about. As far as me, as far as from a personal experience, I've known I was gay since I was 7 or 8 years old. I didn't know that what it was at the time. I didn't know that I was sexually different or thought different from other people. But I do, and I remember that now that I look back on it, and I think to myself personally, I don't know whether you're born with it or you develop it or what. They don't know. No one knows. It's one of the mysteries of life. But I don't think, unless, it's hard to brainwash someone into something that is just not them. You know, yes.
One more question. What is gay? When you say, I am gay, you know? I don't get
all right, all right. I used to say fag, okay? I'm a fag, all right?
It's just like, it's not really explaining anything to me, you know, like I've seen people with moments and things, oh, this, that, and the other. But I mean, it doesn't mean that you would prefer being a female or,
No.
or opposite. Or,
Gay usually refers to male homosexuals, okay?
Or just your appeal goes, a gay appeal would go to their own kind. I mean, you know, males and females. Is that what you mean?
All right, women who love other women are always considered lesbians, okay? Men who love other men are considered gay, homosexuals, fags, queers. I mean, people, you know, in their own community do a lot of discrimination against themselves because they call each other those terms. Okay, so the gay community itself has not come up with an acceptable term to call the male portion, that women are perfectly together. They know they're lesbians and they're proud of it and they say it, you know. But for some reason the men homosexual just is a drag to say or something. I mean, when you write it in a paper maybe 50 times, you get so tired of seeing that word homosexual, you want to cut it down to something, you know. I don't know, that's always been a confusing thing in the community, and I don't think it's come up until about, well, within the last 10 years that term has come up, gay. It used to be homosexual.
Okay, a male that thinks he should have been a female or that dresses as one, sex changes on.
Right.
Are they called drag?
No. Drag queens are men who dress up like women, okay?
They get the sex change and so forth.
They're transsexuals, I think.
All right, now, gay men, homosexual men, do not have sex relationships with transsexuals.
I never have. Yeah, I assume they would. I assume they would. I mean, gay men have sex with women, you know? Yeah. Yeah, really. Bisexual. Okay. Right. I don't.